Have you ever noticed that just when things seem to be falling apart, something inside you starts to change? The strange part is that most people think they are moving away from their dreams during these moments, when in reality, they may be closer than ever. Before you step into the best version of your life, before you enter the timeline where your goals become reality, where your confidence grows, and where opportunities begin appearing out of nowhere, there is usually a phase that feels uncomfortable, confusing, and even painful. Almost everyone who experiences a major breakthrough goes through it. The universe, life, or whatever higher force you believe in, has a way of preparing you before delivering what you've been asking for. And preparation rarely feels comfortable. Most people expect transformation to feel exciting from the beginning. They imagine motivation, clarity, and immediate progress. But the truth is often the opposite. Before a major shift happens, old habits start breaking apart. Relationships that no longer match your future begin fading away. Situations that once felt secure suddenly become uncertain. You may feel lost, disconnected, or unsure of where you're heading. It can seem like everything is going wrong. But what if these events are not signs of failure? What if they are signs that your old reality is making space for a new one? Think about a seed buried underground. From the outside it looks like nothing is happening. In fact, if you didn't know better, you might think the seed is trapped in darkness. But beneath the surface, something incredible is taking place. The seed is breaking open. It is losing its old form, so it can become something greater. If the seed could speak, it might think its world was ending. Yet what feels like an ending is actually the beginning of growth. The same thing happens in human life. Before your next level appears, the version of you that can no longer go there must begin to dissolve. This is why many people experience chaos before success. They lose certainty before finding purpose. They face obstacles before discovering strength. Life starts removing distractions, false identities, and limiting beliefs. The process can feel unfair because you don't always understand what's happening while you're in it. You only see the meaning when you look back. Suddenly, the rejection that hurt you protected you from the wrong path. The failure that embarrassed you taught you a skill you desperately needed. The setback that made you question yourself pushed you toward a better opportunity. Another sign that you're about to shift into a better timeline is increased discomfort with your current situation. Things that you once tolerated suddenly become unbearable. You can no longer ignore your potential. You can no longer stay in environments that drain your energy. You can no longer pretend to be someone you're not. This discomfort is not a punishment. It is a signal. It is your mind and spirit telling you that you've outgrown your current reality. Growth often begins when staying the same becomes more painful than changing. They assume the discomfort means they should quit. They turn back toward familiarity because uncertainty scares them. But every meaningful transformation requires walking through uncertainty. The old version of your life is predictable. The new version is unknown, and the human mind naturally prefers certainty, even when that certainty keeps you stuck. That's why courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward. Despite fear, every successful person you've ever admired had moments when they doubted themselves. The difference is they kept going. There is another thing that often happens before a major shift. You begin seeing things differently. Your priorities change. Conversations that once interested you no longer hold your attention. Goals that seemed impossible start feeling achievable. Your mindset begins expanding. This is important because your external reality can only grow as much as your internal reality allows. Before new opportunities appear, your perspective evolves. The shift starts within long before it becomes visible on the outside. Sometimes, this process can feel lonely. Friends and family may not understand the changes you're experiencing. They might question your decisions or doubt your vision. That's because they are seeing you through the lens of who you used to be. They don't yet see the person you're becoming. This is why self-belief becomes essential. There will be moments when nobody else understands your journey. In those moments, You must trust yourself enough to keep moving. Every great transformation begins as a private decision, before it becomes a public result. The truth is that breakthroughs are rarely announced. Life doesn't send a message saying, "Get ready, your best timeline is arriving next week." Instead, it tests your commitment. It asks whether you're willing to keep showing up when results are invisible. It asks whether you're willing to maintain faith when evidence is limited. It asks whether you're willing to become the person capable of handling the future you've been asking for. Because receiving success is one thing. Becoming ready for success is another. If you're currently going through confusion, setbacks, uncertainty, or emotional challenges, don't assume you're falling behind. You may be standing at the edge of a powerful transformation. The pressure you're feeling could be shaping you. The challenges you're facing could be strengthening you. The endings you're experiencing could be creating room for new beginnings. What looks like chaos today may become the reason for your success tomorrow. So remember this. Before you shift into your best timeline, something usually has to break. Old beliefs break. Old habits break. Old fears break. Sometimes even old relationships and old identity. And while the process can feel uncomfortable, it is often necessary. Growth requires space. Transformation requires change. And change requires letting go of what no longer serves you. Your next chapter may be much closer than you think. Stay patient. Stay focused. Keep improving yourself. Trust the process even when you don't fully understand it. One day, you'll look back at this difficult season and realize it wasn't destroying you. It was preparing you. The version of yourself you've been dreaming about is already forming. Keep moving forward, because your best timeline may be waiting on the other side of the struggle. The most powerful shifts often happen quietly. They don't arrive with loud celebrations or instant success. Instead, they begin with small changes that most people overlook. You start thinking differently. You react differently. Situations that once controlled your emotions no longer have the same power over you. This is one of the clearest signs that your reality is changing. The outside world may still look the same, but inside, something new is being built. And once your inner world changes, your outer world eventually follows. This is why personal growth is never wasted effort. Every lesson you learn, every fear you face, and every challenge you overcome is helping you become the person capable of living the life you desire. Many people spend years wishing for a better future, but they underestimate the transformation required to reach it. They focus only on the reward and ignore the preparation. Imagine being handed everything you've ever wanted today. During this stage, you may notice that old fears begin surfacing. Doubts you thought were gone suddenly return. Insecurities appear stronger than ever. This can be confusing, because you may think you're moving backward. But in reality, these fears are coming to the surface, because they are ready to be released. Think of it like cleaning a room that hasn't been touched for years. Before it becomes clean, the dust becomes visible. Before healing happens, hidden wounds are exposed. Before confidence becomes permanent, your deepest insecurities often make one final appearance. Don't be discouraged when this happens. It's not proof that you're failing. It's proof that you're confronting what has been holding you back. Another thing that happens before a major timeline shift is that your standards begin to rise. You stop accepting excuses from yourself. You become more aware of how you spend your time. You start protecting your energy. Activities that once seemed harmless begin feeling like distractions. You become selective about who you allow into your life and what influences you consume. This isn't because you're becoming selfish. It's because you're becoming intentional. The future you're creating requires focus, and focus demands boundaries. There will also be moments when progress feels invisible. You work hard, stay consistent, and continue improving. Yet nothing seems to change. This is where most people quit. They mistake a lack of visible results for a lack of progress. But some of the most important growth happens beneath the surface. Just as a building requires a strong foundation before reaching great heights, your future requires inner development before external success can appear. The discipline you're building today, the patience you're developing, and the resilience you're strengthening are all part of the foundation. Even when you can't see the results, the work is still happening. One of the greatest mistakes people make during this period is comparing their journey to someone else's. They see another person succeeding and assume they are behind. What they don't realize is that every timeline is different. Every person has unique lessons, challenges, and opportunities. Comparison steals energy from your own path. The moment you stop measuring your progress against others is the moment you begin appreciating your own growth. Your journey isn't supposed to look like anyone else's. Your story is being written in its own way, at its own pace. As you continue moving forward, you'll start noticing opportunities that weren't visible before. It's not necessarily because the opportunities suddenly appeared. It's because you've become the type of person capable of recognizing them. Growth changes perception. The same world that once seemed full of obstacles begins revealing possibilities. Problems start looking like lessons. Challenges begin looking like opportunities. What once felt impossible starts feeling achievable. This shift in perspective is one of the most powerful transformations a person can experience. At some point, you'll realize that the biggest battle was never against external circumstances. It was against the version of yourself that doubted your potential, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of uncertainty. These were the walls that needed to come down. Once those walls begin collapsing, a new level of freedom appears. You stop living according to limitations and start living according to possibilities. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What if I succeed?" That simple change can completely alter the direction of a person's life. There is also something important you must remember. Not every door that closes is a loss. Some doors close because they are no longer aligned with where you're going. Sometimes, rejection is redirection.